All right, welcome to the first edition of Weather and Climate Chat for the new spring 2017 semester. This is a weekly podcast, and we also air it on the air as well with Dr. Michael Davis and Monsoon Mike. How are you today, Dr. Davis? Hold on, your microphone wasn't on. Let's try that again. How are you, Dr. Davis?
It's good to be back for our wonderful spring semester.
If I seem a little stressed today, we had a crazy morning because I had two computers go down. Well, not the computers, the actual network switch. I had IT here. Those were fixed, and then those two computers went down. It's first day back is always crazy around here. But
you're working the bugs out from
working the bugs out. Absolutely. So good to have you back, Dr. Davis. And just to, as if Mother Nature wants to be cynical as well as I deal with all these bugs, we got some bugs in Mother Nature today. This is being recorded on Monday, so pretty wild stuff out there today. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, as it stands right now, we have a low pressure system pretty much coming up the southeastern United States.
Right.
Pretty much following the Appalachians right now. But then there's going to be a secondary low that's going to form off the Carolina coast, which is going to become the more dominating one later today, and then create pretty much a large coastal storm that's going to move pretty much right up the eastern seaboard.
So is it safe to use the term nor'easter for this? I've heard some people say that.
Yes, I would say this is a nor'easter-based storm.
Okay.
And what's happening is we have a very sharp pressure gradient, and that's creating a lot in the way of these strong winds that we're observing today on Monday.
Yeah, we could have some. We've already had some gusts over 30, 40 miles an hour, and I've seen some predictions that we could even get above 50 in some areas.
Yeah, and if you get closer to the coastline of New Jersey, you're probably going to be pushing more toward maybe even 60. I know Long Island, they're looking at 60, maybe 70 mile per hour wind gusts with this storm. And fortunately for Kutztown and the southeastern part of the state, it's going to be mostly heavy rain. And then if you go further north toward Carbon County, up toward Monroe
County,
they're going to get more in the way of snow.
Yeah, it's actually, you don't really have to go that far north, maybe like 30, 40 miles north, and in elevation. This is an elevation type storm. They could have several inches of snow tonight as the cold air wraps behind this.
I thought I saw Williamsport getting about a foot.
Yeah. I know up near the New York border it could be an all-out regular snowstorm. And funny thing about that is they haven't had much at all this year, as that past storm was a kind of a southern runner. So they're finally getting their due a little bit.
And speaking of which, last year,
we
had that big snow.
Right now, wasn't it today?
We had 36 inches, I believe, here at Kutztown.
And Scranton, Williamsport area had like a big fat goose egg. So it's about time they get a little bit of snow up there.
And we had about 28 inches, I think, at my place in Emmaus.
I think I had 25 in southern Schuylkill County, and but just 50 miles up the road, nothing. So they've been very snow deprived up there. So let them have the snow now, right?
Yes, let them have it.
Yeah, let them enjoy it. That's not to say that we couldn't see a couple sleet pellets mix in around here tonight. Would you say? Possibly?
Yeah, I wouldn't rule that out because of the colder air coming in.
Now we should talk about this storm that's been coming up the coast, going up the Appalachians. Same storm. Fortunately, nothing like what happened when it was down south. Some pretty severe weather down south. 15 last number I saw, 15 lives lost in Georgia.
I saw 14
okay.
with the mobile park.
Okay.
But then I saw 18 total deaths.
Wow. Okay.
That was in Florida, Georgia, Alabama.
And that was tornadoes.
Yes. At least non-confirmed tornadoes.
Non-confirmed at this point. How unusual is that to have? I know it is down south, but isn't that a little unusual to have that even in January down south?
Yes, I would say it's pretty rare that you would have that strong of a system down in the southeast, given it being late January. It's not completely out of the realm of possibilities for them to get tornadoes. They've had tornadoes in Georgia and Florida on Christmas Day.
I remember that.
So it's not unheard of, but you had several tornado watches that were issued yesterday by the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, that were particularly dangerous situations where they were forecasting long-lived, life-threatening tornadoes. And we did see several of them happen, and fortunately we had loss of life as a result. This is because the low-pressure system was pretty much diving out of the Midwest, coming down into the southeast, grabbing that moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, and then coming back up north.
Yeah.
And the jet stream had to dip around and go around that low pressure system. And on the back side of the low, or I should say the front side, because it's the leading edge of the low
I got
pressure.
you, yeah.
You had the jet stream, what we call diverge. in what's known as diffluence.
Right.
And that pretty much increases the amount of uplift you're going to generate in the upper portion of the storm. And then you had a low level jet that was pushing 50, 70 knots, about half a mile above the surface to about 3 miles or so, creating some very strong storm relative helicity velocities or values. And those are going to be pretty much an indicator of how likely a helical vortex would be generated, just like a DNA, how you see the corkscrew sort of thing.
Yep.
The same thing can be applied for tornadic development.
Wow. So some pretty tragic incidences down there. Of course, they're not confirmed tornadoes, but probably I'm sure the National Weather Service is investigating today, and we'll hear some confirmations pretty soon.
Yes, they're down there today and checking things out.
Now, and like I said, this very storm coming up affecting us with a lot of wind, a lot of rain. We're recording this at 12. I really haven't seen a lot of rain so far. It's been a lot of wind more than anything. But it looks like we get some heavier bands of rain that move in later in the day and overnight, I was seeing, or at least early this evening.
Yeah, the rain really hasn't arrived yet. We've just been getting mostly the wind of the leading edge of the low pressure. And I was telling people today in class that it doesn't really seem like umbrellas will do you any good today.
Right. You might not even, it'll go inside out. It'll fly away. So, it's just one of those days where you just want to run from your car into the building and into the building out to the car again.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Now, it's not the quickest moving storm, so it looks like we're not going to be totally free of this until tomorrow morning, like early tomorrow morning. It looks like it's out of here.
Yeah, tonight's going to be pretty much same as what we're experiencing today. And then Tuesday, things may start to diminish slightly, and then probably by Wednesday or so, we'll be pretty much in the clear at that point.
Now, as with any big storm like this, though, we're probably still going to have the winds kicking a little bit tomorrow. Maybe not as intense as today, but that pressure gradient, as the storm moves away, the winds will still be 30-ish, somewhere around there.
Yeah, we'll still have some wind tomorrow on Tuesday, but nothing to the extent of what we're seeing today.
Okay. And then it looks like we get into a rather nice, finally, I mean, sunshine has been at a premium this month, is what I've joked with a couple friends about. It's not been the sunniest month at all.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time we saw the sun.
No, it's definitely been at a premium. I mean, we did have that one day last week. I'm not sure if it happened down here in Kutztown, but up where I live, a little bit of sun, like just before sunset. And it was like, wow, look what's out. Then it's sunset, and the next morning it was back to the clouds again. But it looks like we finally might get a little bit of sun Wednesday-ish, Thursday-ish. Mild temperatures as well, maybe up near 50. That's the other thing we can talk about this month. It's been a fairly mild January.
Yeah, we really haven't seen that cold air yet.
No. I mean, we had that spell in December. We had that spell in early January, but it's been very transient, as I like to say. It won't lock in there for more than a couple days, and then it's gone.
Yeah, and I think we were looking at the Climate Prediction Center, and they were showing it to be a slightly above average winter. So it's kind of going along the lines of what they're saying. I don't know if they've changed recently. I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't looked. Now there are implications, and I'm not sure if you've looked at the long term, that we get into a slightly more normal wintry pattern at the end of this week. We have a cold front coming through, I believe, later Thursday.
I saw the temperatures dropping by the weekend. And
now we're not looking at any polar express or anything here, but it's looking like most of next week is fairly average with temperatures back in the 30s instead of 40s and 50s.
Yeah, it's not really Arctic air that we'll be getting, but it's going to be cold air.
Got to throw a bone out to my many snow bunny friends out there, and I admit I'm one of those myself. They've been complaining using various curse words that this is a very disappointing winter so far. Do you think we get any decent snow anywhere along the way, or is it going to be kind of tough to pull it out of this?
I haven't seen any real snow-producing storm. Yeah, in the near future, at least.
Even looking at the long range, I mean, it's always fun looking at the fantasy model GFS where it goes out like 380 some hours. Usually, if you click on that thing, you'll at least see something somewhere along the way, and even that, there's really nothing interesting. So I don't know if it's just the pattern that we're in this year that's just not producing, or the storms just don't coincide with those.
We just haven't had the cold air in place.
The cold air hasn't been in place for more than a couple days.
It's been mostly rain that we've been getting, not so much in the way of actual snowfall, but that's, I think, the problem of us not having that cold air in place, as we were mentioning.
Locking in. One meteorologist friend of mine made a joke. He's like, last year, we were around this time of the month, we were dealing with 3 feet of snow. This year, we're dealing with about 3 inches of rain.
That's right.
Same time. So,
and if we did have a cold air mass, we'd probably be looking about the same type of snow accumulations.
Yeah, if not more, because this is definitely a very juicy system. So that's where we stand on that. Doesn't look like any severe weather, nothing like what we saw down south for this particular area,
No.
but we do have to watch for the wind because I've already seen some tree damage. I'm a news geek, so I get all the news alerts to my phone, and I've seen lots of fire department calls for tree branches down on the roads and stuff, and you can expect that with 55-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, power outages, trees
Power
down.
outages. So that's pretty much what we're going to be dealing with. Okay, well, that's your summary there, folks. Weather and climate chat. Just to remind you, one of the new initiatives, we can talk about that briefly, is we're going to try to get more regular guests on with you, students. Is that true?
Yes, I'm going to try to get my student researchers on this semester. They're a little reluctant to come on air, but
We'll get them on.
we'll get them on one way or another. And I'm teaching weather analysis
Fantastic.
this semester, and we're going to be having those students perform their weather forecasts on the radio.
Fantastic.
So the listeners of KUR, you'll be hearing some of my students presenting the daily weather forecasts.
That's very exciting. I'm glad you promoted that because I was just going to ask you about that next, but you already did it. Very good. So it'll be a good semester, and class-wise, you got some good classes this year?
I have my weather analysis class that I just mentioned,
Right.
and I have 3 physical geography classes. We already had one class meeting so far,
Good, good.
and the other 2 are still to come.
Very good. So it looks like a great semester for both of us, and we look forward to great things.
Yep.
If we can just get
Sounds
through
good.
this little mini monsoon today.
Yeah, get through the wind, get through the rain, and hopefully things start quieting
Hopefully we
down.
get. I just want one little snowstorm. Just give me like 4 inches somewhere along the way between now and mid-February, and I'll be happy.
Enough so I can build a snowman.
All right, exactly. That's all I'm asking for. All right, Dr. Michael Davis and Monsoon Mike, we'll be back with you again next week. Thanks for joining us again, Dr. Davis.
Good to be here.
See you then. Bye-bye.